Hello, beautiful ladies. Jessica Knight here, Fire Revolution Advocacy for Women, Inc., where the acronym FIRE stands for Freedom is for Everyone. Doing our podcast, right now is, I know that in my last podcast I talked about having a prayer wall, and I'm sure that COVID has hit a lot of us pretty hard. I know COVID hit me pretty hard, and it was funny because we moved into this house like a week or two before the quarantine started. I never really got to put my prayer wall back up, and after my last podcast, I was really inspired to just get it back up. So what I did is I bought this cork board, and it's one of the ones that sticks to the wall. So this is actually stuck to the wall. Just different things that I do. I know I mentioned I had an answered prayer book, so this is kind of where I kept my prayers. I decided to use push pins. I usually, it's just a wall. They would put tape. I would tape them to the wall, which is kind of, I think, what they did in a war room. And I know that the way that they set it up in the war room was just various different types of paper. I think I'm more analytical. So my papers have to be all the same size. And literally just, I always make sure to put God at the top. God, the Godhead, God the Father, the Holy Spirit. He's the center of everything. And then my relationship with Jesus is very important. I usually I'll put 3 columns. Over here will be businesses, anything having to do with income and cash flow. I'm going to put fire on this side. There are 2 sides to fire. When I started fire, it started as Fire Revolution Advocacy for Women, Inc., which you guys hear a lot. And that's the private nonprofit, which I've decided to keep. And then there's the Freedom Center, which is our 501c3. So there's 2 different parts to fire. Praying over that. My church, Living Word, I want to make sure to have that up there. The pastors, the lead pastors, and then my pastor, Dr. Dion. Pastor Dion, I put her on here as Pastor Dion. So putting that up there. Pastor Charles in Uganda. That is a project we're working on. So the Agape Fire Day Center. Putting that up there. I'm putting that more in the middle because I want to make sure to pray for that one pretty hard. So things out here, then I usually come in the center. My kids. So then I have everybody in fire. I already had a piece of paper that had all the advocates in fire. Kids up here. My children, my grandchildren, and then some of the ladies from my women's Bible study. I'll put them over here. And I'm trying to think, I had a bunch of other stuff, but look at this. This is just full of, I've been doing this for, oh my gosh, I think it's been 7 years, 8 years. And so you can just see just tons of prayers that I've had, things I've done over the years. That one's a very important one. But I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to show you. Just different things. Different things in here. Lots of amazingness, and still some space left over. Health confessions. I usually put this one up here. I have another one over there by my Bible. But yeah, this is my room. I'll come here and shut the door, and I like to lay hands when I'm praying. This my room. Let me see if I decided. So I have my ninja, my Wonder Woman. Let me see. Wonder Woman's over there, and then that is my ninja stuff over there. So that is, let me see, and that's Coco. So enjoy that, and then we will get to our Bible study now that you've seen my prayer. Continuing on in our podcast, I know I just showed you a little bit about my prayer room, and we'll get a little bit into that and how that kind of goes with our podcast. I'm actually going to do 2 parts to this podcast. Our series is, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This podcast topic is going to be violence against women and God the Father's position when it comes to violence against women. So point number one is going to be setting the record straight. And some of the things that we've covered, we've been really focusing on our self-defense, our Team Ninja, Fire Revolution's Team Ninja, and just getting together, putting together not only the event when it comes to teaching women who have a background of trauma and violence, as well as putting the curriculum together for being able to teach women self-defense in a manner where it's in a healthy environment, and putting the team together, like the women empowerment coaches, and being able to empower women not only in a position of presenting, but also the presenter. And I wanted to share this amazing kind of revelation that happened for me, not even, just being me wanting to liberate women and empower women, and in both realms, not just the presentation when it comes to survivors, but also when it comes to the trainer and the coaches. And so, my Coach Rob, and I, we've been working very, very hard when it comes to my triggers on the mat. And I was nervous, like the presentation, so we did a 2-part self-defense series. There was a women of the community, it was in a community event, and then we kind of did a continuation with Master Edmondson and Master Johnson from San Diego, from the first part, so 1 and 2 parts. And then also doing coaches training and just getting to that next level. Like now I'm training for my green belt. And, as you get higher in belt ranks, it gets a little bit tougher, like the training wheels are taken off. And, how do you handle being just a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more realistic when it comes to Krav Maga and the actual self-defense piece of it? It's my dream. My goal, my dream is to get my black belt, and I accept coherently and comprehensively that the next levels, it's just going to get a little bit more, and I don't know what's going to show up, what memories, how's my body going to respond. And yesterday was a perfect example. We were in coaches training, we were doing sparring. My coach and I, we had a conversation the night before because I was kind of having some anxiety when it came to actually practicing what I've been trained in the last 1.5 years on what we call a red man suit. So you actually get to go full force. And there's a video in our YouTube channel now in reference to just putting the whole women's empowerment event together, launching the program. We had launched the program last year, but it's taking form. And we have the coaches, and our sensei, Master Edmondson, has agreed to, we're gonna work on having our own pink belt program, women's empowerment, which is a pink belt within the Krav Maga, the Kavana Association. So I'm really looking forward. That's just a work in progress. You guys will probably hear more about that. Anyway, so coaches training yesterday, had some anxiety about the workshop that was just a couple hours after coaches training, sparring, and I did really, really good. We had, I think it was around 10 minutes, but you had to spar, which is striking, no kicking, just striking, with 6 different opponents. And now I'm in my protective gear because you're getting hit in the head. So I have my headgear on, and I haven't worn this. Again, just lots of preparation just for this moment. And I thought that I did really good. I got through 5 opponents, And my last opponent, I think it was leading up to it. It was the just the striking to the head, and you're doing striking with more advanced belts, and even though they were kind of like the same height as me, I was taking it because that's just part of what you learn. You're making sure that your offense is as good as your defense, because then if you really don't want to step into your defense unless you absolutely have to, you use your offense more than you would your defense. So anyway, so the last opponent, I was doing great, and there was just this moment of just how he struck me, and it hit a trigger, and I went back to that moment of when I was being groomed, and it was the first time in 10 years, ladies, I actually faced, like, my mind went back to those times, and even like law enforcement training me how to be able to communicate that, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in a relationship with this individual. I'm not interested in the lifestyle, none of it. I want to move on with what I want to do. And so in this moment with my sixth opponent, I just went in there and I advanced. I actually, in my head, in my nightmares, was advancing and thinking about, okay, I can do like a high-low punch. I can do a hook. I can do a uppercut. Like, I was doing this in my head and kind of, what we call moving forward against my opponent. And my opponent was being amazing about it. And then all of a sudden, I had a panic attack. And it was, I know what it was from. It was because I was in the moment. And so my body's response from just what the event was and all the anxiety and everything that I literally probably have been holding in for 10 years showed up on the mat. And thank God, praise God for preparation, for the amazing community in Krav Maga Next Level that I had, because I got through it. I didn't run away. I stayed in the event and was able to advance to the next events, which was the workshop, and being able to put into live action what it would feel like if I was in a position where I needed to defend myself. And it's just so weird that I was actually proud of myself. I know that my coach said he was proud of me, but there's that moment where you're just proud of yourself. And even though the panic attack was, it's horrible, it's a horrible experience, knowing in my head that I took my power back, I took just everything. I felt like everything that was stolen from me was just that moment. And so how does this apply to this month and what we're talking about and what God says? And the point I want to make in setting the record straight is that when you read and you hear about things about how God treats women, just how women are just presented as objects without value. And I want to share that that's not God. That's not God at all. The reason that there's been such a delay in these podcasts, because I wanted to research. I wanted to make sure. This one was really tough. Like, there's just a lot of opposition when it comes to what is God's position when it comes to women. And I wanted to set the record straight that those violent moments that you hear about in the Bible were at the hand of a man, not God the Father, not God the Creator, not Jesus. When you look at I'm just going to take Jesus for a moment, and how did he interact with women? And I think of the different stories about the woman at the well, right? And how he was just so gentle with her, and Jesus is like, I came that you could have life and life more abundant. And you see in every interaction that he had with a woman in this time on earth, that's what he did. So you had the woman at the well, you had the woman with the issue of blood, you had Jesus's own mom. Even at his death, he made sure that his mom was taken care of. He said that he like assigned his mom to the Apostle John. I think about Mary Magdalene. I don't know if Mary Magdalene and the woman caught in adultery are the same person. So if there's separate issues, you look at how did he treat each one of them, and they were so moved by his mercy and his love that Mary Magdalene, she watched him die on the cross. When Jesus was put in the grave, she was the first one that he came and saw and spoke and said that he was alive. And then the other person was Mary and Martha. I know there's a lot of Marys when it comes to who Jesus interacted with in the Bible, but then you have Mary and Martha, and you look at how he spoke to Mary and to Martha, and how they were just really good friends. That's Jesus. That's God the Father. It's not this, oppressing position of women. That's not how God sees us. We are his daughters. We are his children, and he loves us very much. So that's what I wanted to cover when it came to God's position. So point 3 being prayers. When it comes to prayers, and how do we overcome this false position that we're holding in our heart when it comes to God the Father, just because of an experience we've had with men on this planet. To me, again, listening to the word, reading the word, serving, going to church is very important. And one of the most important things, other than being engaged in the Word of God, is your prayer life. And again, I showed you a little bit about my prayer wall, and there's no right or wrong way to do a prayer wall. And it gets to be so fun. And as a chaplain, when I was a chaplain student, and we started putting these prayer walls together, a perfect example was my pastor mentor, who is the co-founder for the Making of a Chaplain program, and hers was a little bit different. It was long. She had like this long, skinny section in her office where the prayers were at, and it was really cool because she had a basket at the end, at the bottom on the ground where the prayers were at, and as prayers were answered, she would drop those answered prayers into that basket and just accumulate. Like mine, I put mine in a book. So it comes down to just starting with what's important, asking yourself what's important in your life. And that's really where your prayers start. You can write them out. They can just be words. They could be pictures. It's very similar to a vision board, and it's just that time when you're engaging with him in prayer, to be able to see and interact with what's important to you, or what you got going on in your life that you want him to be a part of. Vision board, we're actually doing vision board night this year. I think it's November 18th. Yes, it is. It's November 18th. It's going to be at Living Word. I'll post something about that. Your prayer wall could be about your family. There's multiple things. And then your vision board is just that laser focus of what you want to work in the new year, or the coming years, just in your future. So that's what I wanted to share. This is just part 1. Next podcast, which I'll probably do next week, I want to be able to talk to you about the book of Ruth. This whole thing happened because I wanted to be able to share with you my favorite biblical character, which is Ruth in the Bible. And it's just another tale of a woman who, she's a Moabitess, so she was just from another land, different culture, but found value in Judaism, in the family that she had married into. And so when she lost her husband, she didn't end it. She didn't want to leave her mother-in-law, the person that had kind of adopted her, and to be able to just give up everything for this potential of believing in something bigger than herself, a being greater than herself, and how that faith was rewarded. And it's just, again, it's another picture of God the Father's interaction with women in his creation when it comes to the feminine energetic side. The other piece that I want to cover in the next podcast, along with the book of Ruth, is also the women in the lineage of Jesus and their backgrounds and how they came out of darkness and they got to be part of the Messiah's heritage and, mentioned in the Bible. So anyway, that's what we have to look forward to. As always, please comment below if you got anything out of this, or if you have questions at all when it comes to, God's position and violence against women in the Bible at the hand of man. Like, share, and subscribe. Please visit our website, thefirerevolution.com. I'm trying to think of the only event we have really remaining for the rest of this year is besides our holiday outreach, which we're doing the beginning of December. We're coming out in October. It's going to be so fun. The next two outreaches will be in our Halloween costumes, as well as we're getting ready for the holiday outreach, so we'll be in our holiday costumes. And then, so the only remaining event that we have for the rest of 2021, if you can believe that, besides our outreaches, is going to be the Vision Board Night at Living Word. You can come join me, message me, or email me, or call, text, and let us know. But visit our website. Starting to get ready for 2022, if you can believe that. So let me see, like, share, subscribe, hit notifications. We love you. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.